We are in Jefferys Bay in the Eastern Cape, where Agri Eastern Cape is hosting their annual Congress, and there's a lot of things that this particular Congress will be aiming to do. Just now they had also an address by the President, Peter Klute, and the keynote address by the new Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, highlighting some of the key priorities that this industry needs to undertake. But in discussion with me, I do have the President of Agri EC, Peter Klute. Peter, thank you very much for your time. Let's just reflect from 2023 on the agricultural sector, and also some of the reflections that you'll be bringing into this Congress today.
Yeah, thank you. Lovely to have you guys with us. It's been a long year. It's been a difficult year. There are lots of challenges out there in the agricultural industry, both with commercial and upcoming farmers. It's not easy. The margins are thin. One of the big problems that we have is traceability in all our products, be it from fruit to wool to meat. The world out there, the export world out there is demanding traceability on everything. People want to know where it came from, how it's harvested, and we're having to work very, very hard at it. It's coming, we always joke and call it the new order, and eventually we wonder if they won't tag us eventually so they know what we had for breakfast. But there's lots of work going out in the agricultural world. We've got a wonderful relationship in the province with our Premier, Mr. Oscar Mabiani. Him and I chat quite regularly, and he's a wonderful man, and we look forward to working well with him again and with the new MEC. I got on very well with her predecessor, Mrs. Peters, and we look forward to the work. At the end of the day, we need to work together to make agriculture work.
You also speak about traceability and export markets as well. Just in terms of focusing on those markets, we've seen in the citrus sector how they have been impacted by imposing rules from the European Union and so forth. Then how do we then navigate, to ensure that we meet this global standard?
I think we need to be very careful also. There's lots of politics going on behind the scenes. With the citrus industry, there was black spot and there's false coddling moth. And it's not as big an issue as the world makes it out to be, but businesses is using it to impose on South African business. And it's a matter of having the right people, the right minister, the right DGs to talk, sort it out and get the markets open for us. It needs to be two-way trade between in and out of South Africa, and with as little restriction as possible. But traceability, without a doubt, is the new order. The world wants to know where it's come from.
We also saw that in the speech of Minister Steenhuisen, he spoke about biosecurity. Let's just speak on that. How important is biosecurity? We do understand that on this part of the Eastern Cape, we are having a disaster of foot and mouth as well.
Yes, foot and mouth should never have got to the Eastern Cape. It actually should never have got out of the original red zone that they always spoke about on the Northern Natal borders between Northern Natal and Mozambique, is where it's always been. And there was what they called a red zone, and it was monitored by government. No animals were allowed in or out. They were slaughtered within the area. And unfortunately it collapsed. And 5 years ago we had an outbreak in KZN. Last year, the year before, we had an outbreak in the Free State, and now it's got right down here to the Eastern Cape. We were shocked to see that it got here, and it has huge ramifications. We were exporting live sheep to the UAE. That's been stopped. There's certain markets that have even stopped the export of frozen meat at the moment, which shouldn't really hold water, because the minute the animal is slaughtered, the pH changes and the virus dies. But you can understand the countries are nervous to bring in the disease. So traceability and biosecurity is going to have to become huge. We're going to have to live in silos, and unfortunately we're going to have to monitor animals moving through the province. Somebody's going to have to stop them, check them, where they've come from, are they clean. It's not asking for the impossible, it's just doing what we need to do to protect our industry.
And just lastly, before I let you go, I want us to speak about rural safety. The minister also touched on this, that this is very critical, to safeguard farmers and farm workers working on these farms. What is the sense that you're getting from on the ground from farm workers and farmers on rural safety?
It's not good. Unfortunately, it's a reality. The South African police can no longer do what they used to do. They just don't seem to have the capacity. You have a look through our province, we're probably spending nearly 2 million rand a month on private security in farming districts to protect the farmers and their workers, and you shouldn't have to do that. That's a state's responsibility. It's an added taxation. It's added money out of a farmer's budget, which means you can employ less people. And rural safety, not only just from your personal safety, but from a stock theft point of view, from infrastructure theft point of view, there needs to be a willingness to tackle it and actually get it under control.
Thank you very much for your time, Peter.
Only a pleasure. Thank you.
Peter Kluter, the president of Agri SA, just briefly outlining some of their objectives and plans in Congress. As Congress still gets underway, we do understand that this particular Congress is set to conclude tomorrow. But from us here in Jefferys Bay, it's back to you in studio.